It applies to accounting, especially when you're looking for a specific piece of information. Now, filters will allow you to, maybe you want to organize your customers list, right? You want to organize them by last name, or maybe you're looking at your vendors, like you want to place them on how often you make purchases from, things like that, or just maybe organizing your transactions in the actual date that you've had it in. So this is exactly why using understanding how to use filters is important. There's also ways that you can use the data to your advantage, such as maybe you want to look up a product, see which product sells best, right? You could sort the information where it shows you the top 10 selling products, okay? Other examples that you can use filters for is pretty much if you're looking for a specific type of data. Let's say you only want to look into selling Supreme coffee, and you want to see which region is which region is doing better. You'd be able to do that, and I will show you how. Splicing, on the other hand, it does more or less the same thing as the filters feature, except it actually the way that you tell Excel to split your information, it will pretty much give you like a rundown of the exact item that you're looking for. And I'll go ahead and show you the example of that. VLOOKUP is, I can tell you, by far, to me, it is not very easy if you are a beginner, okay? What VLOOKUP is, it's like Nora mentioned earlier, it is very, very specific. And if your table is not formatted in the right way, you will be pulling your hair out trying to figure out why VLOOKUP isn't doing what it's asking you. So VLOOKUP tool, it's very, very useful, especially if you're keeping track of items. Maybe you're looking up a product because you sell multiple products. You're looking for a specific piece of information. And like I said, if you don't set up your table correctly, or if you don't you don't type in your arguments correctly, you're just gonna get that notorious not available sign all the time. And that's what yesterday I was trying to like figure out myself, like, this is ridiculous. I'm trying to do the example and it wouldn't let me do it. So now that I finally got the example to work, I'm going to show you how to use the VLOOKUP tool. So it is kind of a little more advanced Excel if you don't know how to fix the formula. But in this one, I'm going to try to make it basic and simple as possible, okay? So let's go ahead and start with the very beginning of filters. So in order to activate your filters, right, you can...
Excuse me?
Yes?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Is there a way how I can enlarge what you're showing right now?
Yes, yes. Okay, so I'm gonna... Okay, so you...
Lynn,
Yes?
I don't think you're presenting right now.
Uh, you're not seeing anything?
No.
I see only figures and things like that. The table, that's it.
Okay, so let me go ahead and double check that it's running. Okay, so yes, so here we have a few examples that I'm going to show you how to use filters. Now you can either or whatever is convenient for you, depending on how easy you use Excel. If you go onto the home page, you can go all the way down to this little editing feature, and you're going to see sort and filter. All right. And then down here, if you click the down arrow button, it's going to give you options on what you want to do. Now, you can just go ahead and sort the information just as regular as you'd like. But one thing that we do want to do is when you are specifically looking for a filter, you definitely want to toggle the filter feature. Okay, so if you were to just do a regular sort and the information, what's going to do is it's actually going to only sort the column that you want. And in this case, we don't want just only the column. We want to make sure that we want to turn on our filters handle. Okay, so now you can right click and be able to sort the information that way, or be able to apply a filter this way as well. And they give you little options here. But in order to just get started and just to turn on your filter, I would highly recommend you go to the home page and go into sort and filters and go ahead and apply that filter on. Now what you're going to notice is at the very top of your table, right? You have this little drop down menu. Okay, so now what Excel has done is it has recognized that we're using headings, that this is considered a title for us. Okay, that these are dates. Okay, I think that should have been month, but yes, that's okay. We don't have to be specific here. And then here it's got it by location, and it's got by item, and it's got by sales. Okay, now depending on what you want to filter is going to be dependent on which column you're focusing on. So for example, let's say I want to go into date. If I go into date and I press that little drop down menu, it's going to give me a few options on what I can select. Now, Excel is going to recognize that I am categorizing my information by month. And here it recognizes February, January, and March. Okay, so what I want to do here is, let's say I only want to see January. So I can uncheck this, and let's say I just only want to display January. Okay, if you notice, what's going to happen is if I were to click OK, all my information just shrinks up and it only displays me what I want to see, which is only January. Oopsies, pretty cool, huh? So that is what a filter can do for you. Now you can the only problem with this is you are actually let me see. So let's say I want to be more specific. I want to look into January, but I also want to look into maybe I want to look in Henderson only. Okay, so I'm going to click Henderson and see what happens. So here, as you can see, the more filters that we apply on each column, now it's becoming more and more specific into details of what it's showing us. So here, I eliminated all of the months, I eliminated all of the locations except for Henderson, and now I'm left with 2 items. I'm either left with a regular coffee or a Supreme coffee. Now, because I only have 2 items, at least this one you're able to, just looking at just 2 items, it's not like you're looking at a list of 100 items, okay? Because then that way you can also filter out what kind of items you want to be looking at. So again, that is how you use these kind of filters. Now you can also customize these filters, okay? It's pretty cool and pretty easy. Now, in order to bring back the information, you're just going to go ahead and click filter. And here it brought back all my information, right? But that's only to this filter. And let's say, so if I really wanted to bring back all the dates as well, I would have to clear out these filters. So unfortunately, there is no shortcut to that. It's either you undo, Control Z, or you just have to just clear out those filters. All right. And I think it's pretty cool how you could use this. Now, every time you build a table, it's going to automatically show you that little drop-down menu. So that's the advantage and disadvantage of using tables, like when you actually create a table. So if I were to go ahead and show you an example, right? If I were to insert a table and I say, okay, and notice, see, you have this little column, little thing, right? That is the same exact thing as your filters. But this one, you don't need to activate the having the filters on. Okay, so this is just in case you don't have a table already created, then you have to turn on the filters, the filter application. But in this case, every time you build a table, you do you build a table, then it would automatically have the filter handle installed into the table. So recommendation when you're doing database entries or anything like that, highly recommend to use the table format just because it already includes everything that you need. And you don't have to build borders, you don't have to build titles, labels, all those, etc. Right? It does it all in one step for you. But in this case, I just have data and I just want to just keep the data simple and find my information. I don't care about aesthetics. Okay? So things like that, that is how you use filters. You can filter them by their category and whatnot. You could also filter them by alphabetical order. If not, you can actually customize a filter. So that's actually really cool too. Now you can customize by color. You can do customize it by sort. So if I were to double click this, right? So now I'm coming into, well, what do I expect, right? I can choose the category, right? So here it recognizes that I have 4 columns. Do I want to sort by the date, by the location, by the item, or by sales? Now, I can go ahead and choose location, and it's going to ask me, do I want to do the cell value? So I have text in there, right? I could do by cell color, by font color, even by things like that. If I have a condition in there, right? So remember when we did conditional formatting? So if I had an icon, if I use the icon for the conditioning, I can sort it through that way too. And then depending on what you choose, you can either do A to B or you could do above, below. It just depends on what specific column you're in and if it allows you to manipulate the information like that. Now, this is where you also learn about levels, okay? So again, if you guys remember, right, when I was showing you earlier, right, if I were to toggle the date, right, and let's say this time I want February instead of January, okay? I just want February, okay? And then let's say I apply, I want to only see Las Vegas location. And I'm going to click OK. By me doing this, you are applying levels. Okay? What do you mean by levels? So every time you have one filter, you're going to add another filter right under it to meet the criteria or meet what you want Excel to organize your information by. So that is that. So yes. So in this case, I only want to see February and I only want to see Las Vegas information. Now, let's go ahead and clear those filters out and right? So now we see all of our information. And every time you do a layer and layer of things, maybe I wanted to do specifically regular coffee. That's going to be considered a 3rd level, okay? And I will show you how to manipulate levels in a bit, okay? So right now, that's how you use the funnel looking filter tool, okay? Now you can go beyond that. Again, you could sort by color. You can actually customize what you want to see. For example, let's say I want to look at my sales, right? I actually want to look at the top, what do you call it? I want to look at the top 10 sales. So let me see. Yeah, I have more than 10, but what you could do is you could also apply what the features that you saw in conditional formatting. If I want to sort by a color or I want to sort by the top 10, I'd be able to do that as well. So if I were to do this, and let's say I don't want top 10, I'd rather do top 8. Okay? And if I click OK, it's going to shrink up my data. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you my top 8 sales. And then that way I can determine here, if I'm a profit manager, oh, you know what? North Las Vegas is doing incredibly well. Okay, they're my biggest clients. They're making my top sales. They're the ones that we want to kind of gear our store towards, whatever you want to call it. Okay, because ultimately they're the people. They're the ones that are ordering the most coffee. They're the ones that are bringing us in the most money. Okay. Now you can also filter that by saying, well, what if I only want to look at the month, C2C specifically, the top 10 sales in what months? Then you'll be able to filter that way out as well. So, other than that, filters are pretty cool, especially when you're looking at information and data. It allows you to separate certain pieces of information, and it also pretty much allows you to, if you're just looking for a specific piece of information. The great thing about Excel is it eliminates and clears up all the cluttering for you. So when you're looking at it, it just pinpoints your information and has it readily available with nothing else. So that is one nifty thing about Excel, okay, that allows you to just look at just one specific type of data, okay, without having the rest of the information there. Okay, so that's how you use filters. And how to clear them is pretty straightforward. Again, you just go ahead and tap here and click clear filter. Okay. Now, for instance, if you don't want the filter tool anymore, you would just have to go back and just click the filter to turn it off. But in this case, I already applied it. I don't want to turn it off. It's already to be presenting itself as being very useful. So I don't care to remove them or not. But yes, you can turn them on and turn them off. You would just have to go back and just click the filter again, and it will undo it for you. Well, not this one, the one over here, okay, on the home page. All right. Now we're going to be moving on to, I want to call them splicers, not slicers, but I guess we got to do what the book tells us, right? So, few things about slicers. Slicers are awesome, okay? I think it's another way to organize your data without, and you get to see how you're filtering your data. So that's a really cool option. So in order to be able to have the slicers work, instead of doing a data or home page or anything like that, you're actually going to go to insert, and then you have this little image right here that says slicers right here. All right. And if I were to click that, I'm going to get this little window that tells me, well, hey, you want to do some slicers information, so make sure that you see what kind of, okay, whoa, it says no connection. Okay, so I think let me see if I have to turn on my filters. So it should have automatically popped up a window. So let me go ahead and turn on my filters real quick. Oh, there you go. Turn on my filters. Okay, and then let me see if I'll be able to activate my slicers now. Slicers. Still says no connection. This is... okay, hold on. Am I supposed to highlight? Can I use slicers now? Oh my gosh. Okay, so in this case, it's not letting me show any connections in the workbook. Okay, let me see if I...
clicking on instead of the title or where the date, locations, and things like that? How about clicking any box there? That's...
Oh, this one?
Yeah, in any of those under the date location items.
Right now,
Yeah.
it's just telling me that there is no connection, that it can't recognize what I want to splice,
Okay.
which is very weird because I have uh yeah, because I have it should be on this workbook and it won't allow me to do it. Wait, maybe here, let's go back to all of them and let me see connection in this workbook connection. No, it's not allowing me to it's not allowing me to have slicers. Why? See, slicers. Yeah, it's not allowing me to have slicers. Okay, well, then let's go into our book. Okay, so um, I believe, what chapter was that? It's chapter 5. Um, okay, and I believe we had to use. I think it was. I think it was this one. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to. Okay, good. It's enabled. And I think it is going to be, we'd be able to add the slicers now. So insert slicer. Oh, nope, nope, not this one. Okay. See, that's weird. It worked for me yesterday. Now it's not working at all. Slicers. Nope. Okay. Okay, so it's dead. It's definitely not this one. Oh, maybe it's this. Okay, duh. Slicers is meant for slicers. Okay, so maybe the one thing that we was different is that we were supposed to have a table set, like an actual table, for us to be able to insert slicers. Okay, slicers. So here you go. This is what I was trying to get out. It's not supposed to give you that pop-up saying no connectivity. It's supposed to pop up this window itself. So I think I had to apply an actual table for the slicers to work. So here I noticed that it's going to give me the categories that I have in my column, right? I have the month, I have the region, and I have packages, okay? So in this case, I just only want to use month and I only want to use region. And if I were to click OK, I'm going to get these little windows here. So I have one for my month and I have one for my region, okay? And how these slicers work is if I only want January, right? It's only going to show me January. If I want to click, hold, and drag, I can click maybe up to June, and it's going to show me from January to June. Now, the one thing it's not going to do for you is it's not going to put it in alphabetical order. It's only going to show you what you want to see. Okay? So that's the difference between using a filter and using slicers. Slicers is only going to get the information that you want, where filters allows you to organize them, whether you want an alphabetical order. In this case, Excel cannot recognize January, February, March, April, May, right? It doesn't recognize months. It can recognize dates because you're using the number. You're using 1, 2, 3, right? You're using some kind of sequence. In this case, if you were to type in January, February, March, April, the only thing that you can do when you're filtering it is filtering it by alphabetical order. It will not recognize that January is month 1. So be very careful on understanding how filters work. So yeah, again, it just will pull, slicers will just only pull up the information that you want it to ask for. And let's say I want a whole range. I only want February. I want February, March to April, right? It's going to only show me a few pieces of information. And then again, with that, you can also apply I only want to see north north central location only. So again, these are considered as levels, so you can apply. Let's say I want to see more than that. Okay, I want to see all three. Okay, so again, slicers only allows you to see the information you want. It doesn't filter it, doesn't organize it, doesn't do anything for you. It only allows you to select what you want to see. And that's the only thing about splicers. Okay, so again, you're gonna go to insert and make sure that you have a table, like an actual table. So and it will allow you to associate. It will allow you to be able to insert the slicers. Now, let's say I don't need this. I don't need the region slicer anymore. I could go ahead and right click and click remove or delete slicer. I think, yeah, remove, okay? And there, I don't have that anymore. But the thing is, make sure that when you return or go back to your information, that you leave it the way it is. Because the thing, when I just closed my window out for region, I forgot to clear it out. So now that it's done that, it's left that I only want Northwest. So you want to make sure that before anything, you want to make sure that you clear out all the content in that information. So again, if I were to add back my slicer and be able to manipulate it that way, yes, I would be able to do that. Okay, but right now, look, I shrunk my information because I forgot to apply that on my slicer. Now you can go ahead and do Control Undo if that's what you want to do. But again, let me see if I'd be able to. So again, if in case for that kind of reason that you forgot to edit the information, you would have to go back and just highlight them all, just so it shows all the information, and close it out. Okay, there's no way that you could actually just clear out everything. It doesn't work that way. It only works if you're closing your document and you reopen it. Okay. So as far as that is what splicers are, and yeah, I think that's a pretty nifty, cool.
Question.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Mm-hmm.
So on the slicer, you have to filter it first based on what I'm looking in here. Those arrow down and things like that before you go to the slicer.
So
No?
this is a table. Okay, so Okay, so you want to be careful. It's not that you filter it, because remember I tried to filter the information ahead of time and that didn't work. You actually need to apply a table. So here, let's go ahead and go ahead and apply a table in here. And yes, it's got headings. Okay. So now that I applied a table, I'm going to see if I can insert a slider now. A slicer now. So insert slicer. Okay, now, so yes, so you need to build the table, and it has to be the table that you insert the table for. It has to be that one. It can't be the one where it's there's no it can't be like this example where I have the filter handles at the top. It can't be like this information. It has to be in a proper table with the proper titles, with the proper built-in filters. So it has to look like this. And as you can see, I was able to insert my slicer there. Okay, so oopsies, that's the wrong one. I'm in the wrong tab. Insert slicers. Okay, and it's going to ask me, well, what do I want? Do I want by item or do I want by location? And I'll be able to choose those. And same thing, I'm going to get 2 pop-up windows. So this is basically, I only want Henderson. So I only have 4 things that happen in Henderson. And I want only regular coffee. Okay? So slice, Slicers can only, you can only activate them if there's an actual table. Okay. Okay. So again, this is more for, utilizing it for information such as like maybe you're looking for a specific thing. You're looking for a specific region. You're looking for some kind of detail to allow you to just only locate all of that information. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this, and I'm going to remove this. Okay. All right, so another thing I wanted to show you is going to be levels. Okay, so again, I think, let me see if I'll be able to apply it on this table. Okay, so when we're looking at levels, right? Let's go back. So how do we describe a level? Okay, so I gave you the example was every time we apply a filter and we want a second filter, it starts organizing the information that way. In this case, when we're looking at this type of filtering, it's actually it's not actually filtering. It's actually more organizing. Okay, so for example, instead of filtering or just showing a specific type of data, this kind of technique that we use levels is it's going to organize your data in a way that seems fit for you. So let's go ahead and do the example here. So I'm going to go ahead and also activate. I believe I have to activate my filters. So it's already there. And maybe I'm going to go to custom sort. Okay, so again, I'm going to get this little window here, and it's going to ask me a few questions on what I want to do. So again, because I am sorting my information, I'm not using the filter per se. So my first one I have is I'm going to filter. My first layer is going to be, let me see, what's my first one? I'm going to go by date. Okay, so I'm going to filter my date. Actually, I think I want to do location first. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do location first. Okay, and it's going to be the cell value. So whatever I typed in my cell is what I'm going to organize my data by. Okay, and I want it to be in alphabetical order from A to Z, meaning I want what's first? Henderson to be at the very top of my information, okay? And that is level 1, as in if I were to click OK, it's going to sort my information based on alphabetical order on location. See, as you can see, I have Henderson at the top, Las Vegas in the middle, and North Las Vegas in the bottom. Now, if I were to add more levels to it, actually, I have to go up to the top. If I were to add more levels to it, right, I can actually be able to organize it in a way where it becomes more the way I want it. So so the first one is going to be location. I want my location to be in alphabetical order. And then once I have that, I'm going to create a second level, okay? So I want to add new level, okay? So the second thing I want to be organized is I want it to be organized by items, okay? I want my items to be in alphabetical order. So I want regular coffee first and then supreme coffee right under. And if I wanted to, I can also add, I want my sales to also reflect too, based on largest to smallest, okay? So again, with this feature, you can toggle it by color or whatever. If you have a conditional formatting, if you use the icon, you can do it that way too. But in this case, I just want to make sure I organize the information that is in my cell. So my cell value. So here I created 3 levels. I'm going to first organize my location by alphabetical order. So I want Henderson to be at the top. The second the second level is going to be based on my item. I want regular coffee first before I see my supreme coffee. And then lastly, I want to organize by my third criteria is going to be I want to organize which sales was the highest and then put it in order to lowest. So let's go ahead and see how that worked out. So let's go ahead and memorize the table right now. Okay, so we notice at the very top is January, Henderson, regular coffee, and it's for 54,000, right? We automatically know that's going to be wrong. That's not going to be the first one. So let's go ahead and click OK. Oh, well, it turns out that was the first one. But as you can see, we notice that we have it in order by location, right? We have it in order by the types of coffees that we sold. So all the regulars are at the top and all the supremes are at the bottom. And then if you notice my sales, right? The most I sold for regular coffee in Henderson is 54,000. And then the next time we sold to Henderson again for regular coffee was 48,000. So it organized this data in exactly how I wanted it to. I wanted biggest number to the lowest number. So in this case, in Henderson, when we did Supreme Coffee, we had 95,000 sales. So, and it organized it how I wanted it. So that is how you use sorting and how you apply it using levels. Okay? Pretty cool, huh? How you can organize your data. Okay? So chapter 5 is looking up information, or organizing your information to just look at just a small segment in your table. Chapter 6 is allows you to organize your data in a way that works for you. Okay. So the next and last thing I'm going to teach you is going to be the VLOOKUP. Now, again, VLOOKUP can be one of the most frustrating things to understand because it is very, very specific, okay? It is very detailed oriented, and if you don't type in something correctly or you don't type in your formula correctly, you're going to get the infamous error of not available, okay? And believe me when I say this, I've been seeing that so many times and it makes me frustrated. But, so here is, I successfully was able to create a table to show you how to use the VLOOKUP, okay? So in this case, we're looking at a product number or a product ID number. We're looking at what that product item is and what associated color it is with. And then obviously the pricing value on it. Now in this case, we want to just look at a specific product ID. So if you're selling, if you're like Walmart, you're gonna sell a gazillion items and each item has a number. And for someone to spend all that time to just look up that specific number or use spicers, I mean, they can do it. But again, if you have 100 items that have the same beginning number, right? Because let's say I sell produce. An apple is going to be one. An orange is going to be one. Bananas, XYZ. You're going to have too much information that using the filters or spicers, it's not going to actually really help you. It's going to shrink your information, yes, of course, but if you're looking for if you're just doing a quick lookup or a specific ID number. Now, key important thing about a VLOOKUP. The item that you're looking up has to be a unique number. Okay? There can only be one. You cannot have multiple ID numbers, okay, or a specific thing, okay, that you're looking up. Reason being is because Excel's not going to know where to look. If you have two identical ID numbers, Excel's not going to know which one you're looking for. So the specific lookup thing that you're looking up has to be unique, and that's why we use a product ID number. But anything else, whether you're looking up the information, all of that can be the same, or can be the same product, or whatever it is, same color, same price level number. Okay, all of those, the information that you're trying to pull up can be different. That is one thing about VLOOKUP, okay? So in this case, I want to look up based on a product ID number, and I want to be able to get the product item, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and type in VLOOKUP, all right? Now, it's going to give you a little dialog box at the bottom to tell you, well, this is what your formula should have, okay? And yes, it's nice, but it's nice to have there so you can understand how the formula is supposed to work. But again, if you don't understand Excel language, then this is going to be your issue here. So it tells me the first thing I want to do is, what is my lookup value? What am I looking up? And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select my product ID box, okay? So that's the one I'm going to be changing multiple, and you'll understand why, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and put a comma there. The next thing is going to ask you is, what table do you want to look to find this information? And in this case, I want it to search through this entire table. I want it to look in every single row, every single column. I want it to look for this information using this entire table, all right? And then I'm going to go ahead and close that argument. Now, the next thing is it's going to ask you is, which specific column are you looking at to look up this information? And in this case, we want to do product item, which is going to be column number 2. Okay, it's not going to recognize it if you use a letter, okay? It's only going to recognize by the number of columns you are looking at, and it's going to go from left to right. So in this case, my product ID number is column 1, my product item number is column 2, my color is column 3, and my price range is column 4. So in this case, I want to look up my product item. So it's going to be column number 2. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and close that argument. Now, it's going to give you two options to ask. Now, if you go for true, what true does is it's going to find a general area. It's not going to find exactly what you're looking for, but it's going to see what kind of sequence it is. It's going to give you the closest information you want to, closest information, right? It's not going to be, it's going to be very vague. Very ambiguous. Where false is you want an exact match. As in, that I want this specific ID number to give me the exact product item. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to apply false because I want to see my product. I want to see the actual product. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click enter. And notice, look, I have the notorious not available error code. Reason being is because I don't have a value in my product. I don't have a product ID number. Now, one thing I learned is that what happens is, let's say I go ahead and type in 12050, right? If I were to do this, it's going to automatically look up here that I have T's. Okay? So pretty cool, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do, let's say, product 50. Okay? It's still a T. Let's do product 10. It's a mug. Let's do product 90. it's a coffee press. Okay? You see how we just type in the information and it's going to populate for us. Now, of course, we're human. We can type in accidentally this number and it's going to show us not available. Why? Because we wrote the wrong number in there. Okay? So in this case, I want 50. Now let's say I just put 0 and I know it's going to be that. Now because I'm looking up the product item and I notice, wait, if it just shows me a cup, how am I going to know which one to buy? I offer white cups, black cups, brown cups, and blue cups. So we're going to go ahead and apply the VLOOKUP again, but this time we're going to apply it to match the product number with the actual with the actual color. So again, I'm going to activate my VLOOKUP. Okay. Oops. See, there you go. I typed in the formula incorrectly, so it showed me the name error code. So here I activated my VLOOKUP. Again, I'm going to do the first argument is going to be what are you asking Excel to look up? So I'm going to apply the same formula. So I'm going to do A16. Okay? I'm going to comma that to end my first argument. And it's going to ask me, well, what table do you want to look up? I want you to look at this table. All right? Next one is which column is the information you're looking up? It's going to be in column 3 because I want color. And I want it to be the exact code. So here I have double NAs. Reason because I have nothing in this cell right here. But let's say I type in 0250, right? It's going to automatically pull up this information right here saying that it is the product item is going to be a t-shirt and it's going to be the black one. Now let's verify that by looking at our chart. And here for product 50 is going to be a t-shirt and it's black. So voila. It was able to pull up 2 different types of information for me using one specific lookup, which is based on the ID number. So I can apply this. I could be like, well, what if I want to know what do I want to know for my mugs, right? So 12,010, right? I got my white mugs there. Okay, if I wanted to do 90, is that my silver? No, it's my gold presses. So that is VLOOKUP for you. Again, this is very tricky, especially for beginners. Okay. Okay. So again, this is applied more towards maybe you're looking for a purchase number. Okay. That is one way you could use the VLOOKUP. It is also for you for inventory. If you're the inventory manager, it would be good to keep track of your inventory, but also be able to identify what products you need to purchase again. Like what are low, what items are low in stock. Okay, so you can get you can look up the actual product ID number and be able to pull up the information that way. Okay, so that is how you use VLOOKUP. Again, it is more advanced, I would say. And if you don't set up your table the way Excel wants you to do it for VLOOKUP to actually work, believe it or not, I don't even know what mistake I did in my table because I've done about 4 or 5 tables and the VLOOKUP never worked for me. It was only for this one that I realized that you just have to have a specific, I don't know. But sometimes the table, right? If you format the table, it will also screw up your VLOOKUP as well. So for example, let's say I have these in dollars, right? If I were to go to my format cell and I were to determine that it is a currency, then if I were to if I were to put that number in there, it would not recognize it because because this is looking up a text. So I'll go ahead and show you an example. $4.99. It's not going to show up anything. Oopsies. Why? Because this is a text format. This is a number format. It's looking for a text. Okay? So because I put a currency value in, it will not recognize it because Excel, right, it automatically converted this into the format that looks appealing to us. But in this way, underneath, this has to be in text format in order for this to work. Okay? So, yep, that was just that example. So I'm going to go back to 50. Okay? So there are a lot of rules and a lot of things that you can mess up with this. So that's why I would highly recommend you to refrain from any formatting if you're going to be using VLOOKUP, just because that can mess around with you a lot. And again, one thing is that if you're doing a lookup, the value has to be a unique ID code or a unique value. Okay? So for example, product code or a purchase order number. Usually your purchase orders are only one number and that's it. You can't have the same exact purchase number. Okay? Invoice number. Well, actually, invoice, you can actually have the same one, but you know what I mean, right? It has to be a unique value for VLOOKUP to work. Okay? Any questions as far as VLOOKUP?
Question.
Yes.
So this particular VLOOKUP is more applicable for inventory then? Or
I would say inventory just because, you know, it's you're looking up a specific and you're looking for a specific item, right? Or
yeah.
it has to have a unique serial number. For example, a social security number. Now you can use that for a government, right? You could use that to look up a specific individual. Okay? However, like the way you format it and how you look up the information can be difficult. Now you could also look up the person's the person's name and be able to find it. Yes. Just with things for that example, it can be difficult to use. But for business purposes, 100% you will definitely need this for inventory. Okay? Especially if you're selling multiple products, you need to know, you need to first off, you need to separate your inventory. You need to have a specific ID code for each item that you sell. Or else, if you just have inventory as a blank inventory, you're not going to know what you have available. Right? Because if you're going to shove everything in inventory, you're not going to know how many white cups you have versus blue cups. So, yes, this is very, very, very useful for invoices, purchase orders, inventory, and yes, and we will get to touch upon inventory, but not to this extreme. Okay. All right. Any other question?
Can you incorporate all those three together? Filter, slicer, and VLOOKUP?
That is going to be a question I will answer for you for Monday, because I will be trying to create a problem for you guys that will be able to apply. Yep. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. That's why over the weekend I'm gonna create a similar page for you or a similar Excel, because obviously the other three. Okay, so you know how like the lesson plan, right? It splits up each document because it's formatted a specific way. For me, I want to teach you everything in one go. Yes, ideally I want to try to do that, but we'll see how it works, because The tricky one is getting VLOOKUP to work. Since this one works, maybe I can try to be able to do filters and splices, but I'm just scared that it's gonna mess up my VLOOKUP and it won't work. So there could be a possibility where I have everything included into one and then have VLOOKUP as a separate one. So for Monday, that's what you're going to be learning is those concepts right there. Other than that, if you have any questions about anything that you've read in the book, feel free to ask me because I'm also reading the book too to kind of show you how to do these things. So, feel free to ask me. But again, everything in that book, you do not need to know if you're going into accounting.
I know, I was reading one after the other, pages by pages, in that chapter 5 and 6.
Yes,
And
like understanding how to do average and stuff. No, you don't need to know that. Or understanding how to do data. What is it? Data messages. Or displaying messages for people who enter data incorrectly. You wouldn't need to be the person to do that if you're the one that's entering the information. Okay? I don't know if you need to tell yourself, hey, no, you can't do that. No, because you are the one that's going to be entering the data. So in this case, no, that part's not going to apply. But it's cool to learn and understand. But again, for the sake of this class, especially because you guys are not testing for the Excel certification. So, I can pick and choose what is more important versus like someone who's actually certifying for the exam. They would need to know how to use Excel ins and outs. So, yes, but for the purpose of our class, I'm only going to show you what I think it's necessary for the sake of this class. Okay. So again, this is a little more advanced. This is more towards inventory, but it does apply. All right. Any other questions?